when I look to the splendidly learned Catherine McGregor. We were talking today, and she said to me, having sent me a picture of the former New South Wales Premier Bob Carr and his very fine then Treasurer Mike Egan at Checkpoint Charlie with the Berlin Wall being torn down around them. And Catherine said to me, everyone's just so bloody tired and full of despair. Let's give them some soulful language, poetry, oratory, and raise some spirit. So I thought, because I do want to say something to Catherine about Afghanistan. We may not get the time we want, but if not, I'll be looking at it certainly on Monday. But I thought we'd honour her request. Now, my brief few lines are from a glorious poem by William Wordsworth. It's a lyrical ballad, The Solitary Reaper. Wordsworth's walking in the Lakes District of England, beautiful part, and there's a reaper, and he calls her a young maiden reaping, that's cutting the crop, and singing to herself. And Wordsworth suggests that anyone passing by should either stop or gently pass so as not to disturb her. But her singing creates a blissful, tranquil mood in him. Wordsworth stops, listens, and then, not knowing what has motivated her to sing, he moves on. And he writes, whate'er her theme, the maiden sang as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work, o'er the sickle bending I listened, motionless and still. And as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more. And I often feel when we leave the theatre after hearing beautiful music, that's our sentiment. The music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more. Catherine, good evening to you. What brief verse or piece of soulful language will you share with us?
Hard to follow that one, but look, I was thinking on the way here, Alan, and there's a beautiful scene in the very final episode of Morse, and I know you love Oxford as much as I do, and
yes.
There's a beautiful scene, Morse's last full day before he dies, and he talks about life, death and regret and the important things, and he quotes Houseman as the sun is sinking away, and quotes that lovely verse, ensanguining the skies, how heavily it dies, into the west away, past touch and sight and sound, not further to be found, how hopeless underground falls the remorseful day. And I think with the early onset of dark and the lockdown and the general ambient strain that people are under, that's probably captures the mood.
I agree. Beautiful, beautiful. Just, we are going to be a bit short of time tonight, Catherine, but I want to go to Afghanistan and I want to return to this crisis because that's what it is. Peter Dutton seems to have it all wrong. I don't know who he's listening to. I mean, talking about, we're worried about these security guards and they might bring Taliban sympathisers to Australia. They're not asking to come to Australia. They're asking to not be slaughtered, and they've all been validated. They've all got visas. Why can't we stick them in a plane and take them 18 miles from Dubai, where we have all the facilities available? If you want to vet them there. But they're not wanting to come to Australia and actually bring terrorists into the country.
Yep, I got, look, just before I came in, I spoke to Kay Danes again and my colleague Glenn Colomitz, who's having a look at this. Alan, there are 106 of these embassy guards who have already been security vetted, including by our own agencies, inside the green zone in Kabul now. There is no more story to be told. This nonsense that he's mouthing, and it pains me to say it, I thought better of him, but whoever's drawing up the talking points needs to be sacked. They have not gone back out into the provinces and fought with the Taliban. They've been on duty at our embassy without interruption for over a decade. In the name of God, get them out.
Yes, but I mean, you're absolutely right about Dutton. Who's he listening to? I mean, he doesn't. I've tried to advise him. No, he doesn't want to know. You've tried to advise him. Kay Danes, and I have been talking to people in Kabul. Some can't return to their families, and these are people who protected the John Howards, the Kevin Rudds, the Tony Abbotts, the Peter Duttons, the Maurice Paynes. Are we a nation of gutless political cowards, Catherine?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, Tanya Plibersek said on this program on Thursday night, who now will put their hand up to help Australia in the future if we abandon these families now? How do you answer that?
Well, it's a valid point, and it left the same image was left, but with the precipitate withdrawal from Saigon. Yep. This government does not, between the time Australian ground forces left Vietnam, which was not at the end of 1971, the US withdrawal came later. That country limped on for 2 years, and the ARVN fought very bravely. This government, I think, has weeks left. It's in disarray.
Yeah,
there were
it is.
Taliban massacred prisoners of war tonight on camera, and our government's busy apologising for our own soldiers. Why would we be surprised we've thrown allies under the bus when we've thrown half the SAS regiment under the bus? So what do you expect from them?
Brereton reports, you're dead right. Look, I'll try and make some sense with Maurice Payne. She might be the hope of the side. Catherine, thank you. Keep at it. You and I will keep in touch, as we will with Dr. Kay Danes. We used to say it was 1 minute to midnight. I think it's 10 after midnight. Catherine McGregor.